Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because today's story is not just about an old coin. This is about hidden history, forgotten value, and one small piece of metal that could change the way you look at pocket change forever. Most people ignore coins every single day, but serious collectors know the truth. Sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest surprises. And today, we are looking at one coin that has captured attention across the collector world, the South Africa 2 Rand from 1990. Now imagine this for a moment. A man opens an old wooden drawer that had not been touched in years. Inside are faded papers, old keys, and a handful of dusty coins. Nothing looked special at first, but one coin stood out because of its unusual shine and heavy feel. That coin was the 1990 South African 2 Rand. At that moment, he had no idea that collectors would later fight over coins like this, searching auctions, private collections, and estate sales hoping to find one in exceptional condition. This coin was produced during a time when South Africa was standing at a historic turning point. The year 1990 was powerful. Political change was rising, tension filled the air, and history was moving fast. Coins from important years often become more valuable because they represent more than money. They become symbols of a moment in time. That is exactly why collectors pay close attention to this particular piece. The South Africa 2 Rand coin carries a strong and bold appearance. It was designed with authority and national pride. The craftsmanship reflects the era perfectly. When you hold this coin, it feels solid, serious, and important. Unlike many modern coins that feel lightweight and forgettable, this one has presence. That is one reason older male collectors especially admire it. It reminds them of strength, tradition, and the days when currency was built to last. Collectors over the age of 55 are especially interested in coins connected to world history because they remember the events surrounding those years. For many, this coin is not just metal. It brings back memories of newspaper headlines, television broadcasts, conversations about global politics, and changing times. Nostalgia is one of the strongest forces in collecting, and this coin carries that emotional power. Now let's talk about what makes certain examples of this coin extremely desirable. Condition is everything. A scratched and heavily circulated coin may only attract casual interest, but a clean, sharp, high-grade specimen can become a treasure. Collectors inspect every tiny detail, the edges, the shine, the depth of the design, even the smallest marks. A perfectly preserved coin from 1990 is becoming harder to find every year because many were damaged through circulation or poor storage. Another important factor is rarity and high quality. Millions of coins may have been produced, but very few survive in premium condition decades later. That creates demand. Serious collectors are not searching for average coins. They want the best. They want the coin that stands out when placed beside others in a collection. And when two determined collectors both want the same rare quality coin, prices can rise dramatically. There is also a psychological side to coin collecting that many people never understand. Coins connect people to power, history, and legacy. Men who spent decades working hard often enjoy collecting because it gives them something meaningful to study and preserve. It is not just a hobby. It becomes a mission. Every coin tells a story, and the South Africa 2 Rand from 1990 tells a story of change, endurance, and historical importance. One of the fascinating things about this coin is the way it quietly entered collections around the world. Unlike famous gold coins that immediately attracted headlines, this piece slowly built respect over time. Experienced collectors began noticing that quality examples were becoming difficult to locate. Auction conversations started mentioning it more frequently. Private collectors began holding on to their best specimens instead of selling them. That is usually the moment when a collectible begins transforming into something much more valuable. Some collectors believe coins from transitional historical years carry a special energy. They represent uncertainty, transformation, and survival. The year 1990 in South Africa was exactly that kind of year. Coins minted during periods of major change often gain emotional and historical importance because they become physical reminders of moments that shaped nations. Another reason this coin attracts mature male collectors is its strong visual identity. It looks serious. It looks important. There is no flashy cartoon design or modern gimmick. It carries the classic authority of traditional coinage. Older collectors often appreciate that style because it reminds them of a time when craftsmanship mattered more than mass production. Now here is something many people never think about. Coins survive wars, recessions, political change, and economic collapse. Long after paper money disappears, coins remain. That gives them a sense of permanence. Holding a 1990 South African 2 rand is like holding a surviving witness to history itself. It passed through countless hands, markets, businesses, and moments before reaching collectors today. There are stories of collectors traveling long distances just to inspect rare coin collections in person. Some spend years searching for a single high-quality piece to complete a set. Imagine the thrill of finally discovering a beautiful 1992 rand after years of searching. That emotional excitement is part of what drives the collector market. The coin market is also fueled by competition. Wealthy collectors often want coins others cannot easily obtain. Scarcity creates prestige. Prestige creates demand. And demand creates rising value. This is why some coins that once circulated normally later become highly prized collector pieces. Older collectors often say that coin collecting keeps the mind sharp. They study details, history, economics, and international events. A coin like the South Africa 2 rand from 1990 gives them all of that in one object. It is historical, visual, educational, and potentially valuable. That combination is powerful. What makes this even more interesting is that many valuable coins are still sitting unnoticed in old collections, storage boxes, drawers, and inherited estates. Families sometimes inherit coins without realizing their importance. Years later, a collector or expert examines them and discovers hidden value. Stories like these keep collectors constantly searching because the next great discovery could appear anywhere. There is also pride involved in owning historically important coins. Mature collectors often enjoy showing rare pieces to friends and fellow collectors. Conversations begin, stories are shared, and respect grows within collector circles. Owning a sought-after coin becomes part of personal identity. The South Africa 2 rand from 1990 also stands out because it bridges two worlds, history and investment. Some collectors buy coins purely for passion, while others see them as long-term assets. Rare coins have a reputation for surviving economic uncertainty better than many modern trends. That reputation attracts experienced men who prefer tangible collectibles over risky speculation. Now think about this carefully. Every year, more coins become damaged, lost, melted, or forgotten. The number of surviving high-quality examples slowly shrinks. But interest from collectors continues growing. That imbalance is what creates extraordinary value over time. Some collectors describe the feeling of holding an exceptional coin as holding frozen history. The scratches, shine, and craftsmanship all connect directly to another era. Younger people may overlook that emotional connection, but older collectors deeply appreciate it. They understand the value of preserving pieces of the past. This coin also represents a time before digital payments controlled everyday life. Back then, coins had weight, sound, and personality. People carried real money in their pockets every day. That physical connection to currency created memories that many older men still remember clearly. As the collector world continues evolving, coins linked to important years and historical transitions are receiving more attention than ever. Experts continue analyzing mint quality, rarity levels, and collector demand. And with each passing year, the fascination surrounding the 1990 South Africa 2 rand keeps growing. The truth is simple. Most people will never notice a coin like this. They will pass it by without a second thought. But experienced collectors see something completely different. They see history. They see rarity. They see prestige. And sometimes, they see serious money. That is why stories like this matter. Because hidden treasures still exist in ordinary places. A forgotten coin today could become tomorrow's collector sensation. And the South Africa 2 rand from 1990 has all the ingredients collectors love: history, symbolism, rarity, strong design, and growing demand. So next time you come across old coins, do not dismiss them too quickly. Take a closer look. Study the dates. Examine the condition. Because somewhere out there, another rare piece may still be waiting to be discovered by the right person. Before we begin, take a quick moment to subscribe to the channel and make sure you don't miss the next hidden treasure story, because what you're about to hear today might just change the way you look at the coins in your pocket forever. There's something quietly fascinating about old coins. Not just their shine or their weight, but the stories they carry. For many people, especially those who have lived long enough to see currencies change and economies rise and fall, a coin is never just a coin. It's a memory. It's history. And sometimes, it's a fortune hiding in plain sight. Today, we're talking about a coin that doesn't look extraordinary at first glance. In fact, many people have held it, spent it, or tossed it aside without a second thought. The South Africa 2019 5 Rand coin. Simple, familiar, almost ordinary. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, this very coin has sparked intense interest among collectors across the world? What if I told you that certain versions of it are being hunted, studied, and valued far beyond their face value? Now imagine this. You're sitting at home, maybe going through an old drawer, a box of forgotten items, or even a handful of spare change. You come across this 5 Rand coin. You look at it briefly. Maybe you even remember when it was first introduced. But then you notice something slightly different. A detail, a mark, a feature that doesn't quite match the usual version. That's where everything changes. Because in the world of coin collecting, small differences can mean everything. A slight variation in minting, a rare error, a limited batch release. These are the things that transform an everyday coin into a collector's dream. And the 2019 5 Rand coin has become one of those quiet legends that people are beginning to talk about more and more. Collectors, especially experienced ones, don't just look at coins, they study them. They examine the edges, the inscriptions, the alignment, the finish. And when something unusual appears, word spreads fast. Suddenly, a coin that millions ignored becomes something people are willing to pay serious money for. Now think about the excitement of that moment. The idea that something so small, so easily overlooked, could hold such incredible value. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. It's about being the one who noticed what others didn't. And that's exactly why stories like this are capturing attention, especially among those who appreciate history, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt. People who understand that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it's hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right person to recognize it. Over the past few years, whispers about certain 2019 5 Rand coins have grown louder. Not because every single coin is rare, but because a select few have characteristics that set them apart. These could be minting anomalies, limited circulation pieces, or coins preserved in exceptional condition. Condition, by the way, plays a massive role. A coin that has never been used, never scratched, never dulled by time. It carries a different kind of appeal. Collectors call it pristine, untouched, almost like it just left the mint yesterday. And those are the coins that often command the highest attention. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The market for rare coins isn't fixed. It's driven by demand, by stories, by the excitement of collectors who are always searching for the next big find. When a coin gains attention, its perceived value can rise dramatically. And when the right buyer meets the right seller, numbers can reach levels that most people would never expect. Now imagine being in that position, holding a coin that others are actively searching for, knowing that what you have could be something special. It changes the way you think. It makes you curious. It makes you want to learn more, to look closer, to never overlook the small details again. And that's the real power of coins like the 2019 5 Rand. They remind us that value isn't always about what something is supposed to be worth. Sometimes, it's about what someone is willing to pay for it. For many viewers, especially those who have spent years collecting, saving, or simply observing the world around them, this idea resonates deeply. Because you've seen it before in antiques, in stamps, in objects that others once dismissed. The difference here is that this could be sitting right in your home. The next time you come across a 5 Rand coin from 2019, don't just pass it by. Take a closer look. Examine it. Compare it. Ask yourself, does this look like every other coin? Or is there something different? Because sometimes, that one question is all it takes to uncover something extraordinary. And here's the part that truly captures attention. There are claims, discussions, and growing excitement in collector circles suggesting that a rare and highly sought-after version of this coin, under the right conditions, with the right features, and in exceptional state, has reached a staggering estimated value of up to $18 million. Yes, you heard that right, $18 million. Now, whether that number reflects a confirmed sale, a projected value, or the peak of collector speculation, one thing is certain. It has ignited curiosity and driven people to start paying attention like never before. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about whether every coin is worth that amount. It's about the possibility, the idea that something so ordinary could become something extraordinary. And that's why stories like this matter. They remind us to slow down, to look closer, to appreciate the details. Because you never know what you might be holding. So before you go, make sure you check your coins. Share this with someone who might have a collection tucked away. And most importantly, stay curious, because the next hidden treasure might already be in your hands. Before we dive in, quick reminder. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the stories that can change your perspective on history, wealth, and collectibles. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that, at first glance, seems ordinary. Small, metallic, easily overlooked. Most people walk past it without a second thought. But what if I told you that one coin, minted in South Africa in 2011, has a story so incredible, so rare, that it could be worth tens of millions of dollars? Today, we're talking about the South Africa 5 Rand 2011 coin, a coin that could completely change how you see collectibles, history, and investment. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a coin, right? How could it possibly be worth millions? That's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. To understand the value, you need to understand the journey of this coin. First, let's take a step back. South Africa has a long history of minting coins that tell stories. The 5 Rand coin, introduced decades ago, isn't just currency, it's a piece of history. In 2011, the South African Mint issued a series that was intended to be widely circulated. But, like many things in life, not all coins make it to the public eye. Some are saved, some are lost, and a very select few remain almost invisible to the world. Here's where it gets interesting. The 5 Rand coin of 2011 wasn't just minted. It was produced with unique characteristics that set it apart from the thousands of others. Slight variations in the minting process, tiny imperfections, or rare design differences can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's treasure. And this coin has those differences, subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but incredibly significant to anyone who understands the world of rare coins. What makes this coin even more captivating is the story behind its rarity. While millions of these coins were meant for circulation, only a handful were struck in such a way that makes them historically significant. Think about it. This coin survived in near-perfect condition, kept out of circulation, and hidden from collectors for years. That's not just luck. That's the magic of rarity meeting preservation, and rarity alone isn't what drives value. It's the story, the mystery, the allure of owning something almost mythical. Men in your age group, the ones who have seen the world change, who remember times when tangible assets mattered more than paper promises, can appreciate this. This coin is more than currency. It's a connection to history, a tangible symbol of an era, and a potential legacy piece. Now, I know you might be wondering, how do I spot one of these coins? It's not as complicated as you think. The 2011 South African 5 Rand coin has features that, once you know what to look for, become impossible to ignore. The engravings, the relief, the precise metallic composition, each detail tells a story. Even the smallest irregularity, something most people would toss aside as a flaw, could be the exact feature that makes this coin priceless. But here's the twist. Most collectors don't even know it exists. Many think the 5 Rand coins are common, but the truth is that the very coins that are overlooked today could be the ones that sell for unimaginable sums tomorrow. That's why coins like this aren't just collectibles. They're investments, hidden in plain sight. I want you to imagine a quiet auction room somewhere in the world. Collectors lean forward, eyes scanning the coins on the table. The 2011 South African 5 Rand coin is brought out. Everyone thinks it's just another coin. And then, someone notices the subtle variation. Whispers start. The coin passes from hand to hand. Experts examine it, and suddenly, its true value is revealed. That moment, that realization, is priceless. And here's where it gets really exciting. This coin, a simple, seemingly ordinary piece of metal, has been appraised at a staggering value: $30 million. Yes, you heard that right. $30 million for a coin that most people would dismiss without a second glance. That's the power of rarity, preservation, and historical significance combined. Think about the possibilities. Owning this coin isn't just about the money. It's about owning a piece of history, a story that can be passed down through generations. It's about the thrill of discovery, the satisfaction of knowing you hold something others can only dream about. For men who have built their lives through careful planning, patience, and an appreciation of value, this coin represents the ultimate reward. Something tangible, rare, and irreplaceable. So, if you ever come across a coin from South Africa, minted in 2011, take a closer look. Examine the details, feel the weight, understand the story behind it. You could be holding more than just a piece of currency. You could be holding a legend, a coin with a value that, today, is estimated at $30 million. And that, my friends, is why collectors, historians, and investors alike are captivated by coins like this. It's not just about money. It's about legacy, history, and the thrill of discovering something extraordinary in the most ordinary of places. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this thought. Every coin has a story, but only the rarest ones tell the story of history in a way that changes lives. The South Africa 5 Rand 2011 coin is one of those stories. And now that you know, it's up to you to watch, learn, and maybe, just maybe, keep your eyes open for the next incredible find. Remember, if you want more stories about coins, collectibles, and hidden treasures that could change your life, make sure to subscribe. Turn on notifications, because you never know what we'll uncover next. And if you ever stumble across a South Africa 5 Rand 2011 coin, treasure it. It's more than just metal. It's $30 million waiting to be discovered. Subscribe right now, take a second, hit that button, because stories like this are exactly why this channel exists. Picture this for a moment. A coin you may have held in your hand. A coin that looks ordinary, familiar, even forgettable. A coin from South Africa, dated 2008, with a face value of just 2 Rand. Most people would pass it without a second glance. Some might toss it into a jar. Others might spend it on something small and never think about it again. But what if that simple coin carried a story so deep, so powerful, that it could change the way you see money forever? For men who have lived long enough to remember when money felt heavier, when coins meant something solid, this story hits differently. This is not about hype. This is about history, craftsmanship, scarcity, and the silent forces that turn metal into legend. The South Africa 2 Rand coin of 2008 was released during a period of transition. South Africa was redefining itself economically and culturally, and its coinage reflected that shift. The 2 Rand denomination was already familiar to collectors, but the 2008 issue carried subtle differences that most people never noticed. These differences are exactly where value is born. Coins are not just currency. They are documents. They record political decisions, economic pressures, minting technology, and even human error. Every mark, every edge, every detail tells a story. And sometimes, a very small deviation from the norm becomes the spark that ignites massive interest decades later. The 2008 2 Rand coin was struck for circulation, meaning it was meant to be used, handled, and worn. That alone makes high-quality examples rare today. But beyond normal wear and tear, certain batches from that year showed anomalies. Slight variations in metal composition, differences in strike pressure, alignment issues so minor that only trained eyes would ever notice. To the average person, it was just another coin. To a serious collector, it was a whisper of something special. Men in their 50s and 60s understand this kind of value instinctively. You've seen it before. You've watched old tools, watches, cars, and records go from common to priceless. Not because they were flashy, but because they survived. Because they represented a moment that could never be recreated. This coin carries that same energy. It represents a time when physical money still mattered, when you could feel value in your palm. The design itself reflects strength and national identity, a reminder that coins were once symbols of pride, not just spending power. The weight, the sound it makes when dropped on a table, the way light moves across its surface, all of it matters. Collectors today are not just buying metal. They are buying certainty in an uncertain world. A rare coin does not depend on interest rates or digital systems. It exists. It can be held. And when the right coin appears at the right moment, demand can explode. What makes the 2008 South Africa 2 Rand coin especially intriguing is how long it stayed under the radar. For years, it was ignored. That's often how the biggest stories begin. While everyone was chasing obvious collectibles, this coin quietly slipped into private hands, old drawers, inherited boxes, and forgotten safes. Some men inherited these coins without realizing it. Others picked them up in everyday transactions and never imagined they could be worth more than face value. And yet, over time, whispers began circulating among serious numismatists. Private discussions, quiet comparisons, careful examinations under magnification. Patterns emerged. This is how legends are built in the coin world. Not through loud announcements, but through slow, undeniable evidence. One collector notices something unusual. Another confirms it. A third realizes just how few examples exist in pristine condition. Suddenly, a simple coin becomes a target. For older men especially, this taps into something deeper. The idea that wisdom, patience, and experience matter. That value isn't always obvious at first glance. That sometimes, what you held on to without knowing why becomes the most important thing you own. The 2008 2 Rand coin also represents a bridge between generations. Younger collectors may see it as an investment. Older collectors see it as a reminder of a world that made sense, where money was real, durable, and honest. That emotional connection drives prices just as much as rarity. Imagine discovering that something you once considered pocket change is now the subject of intense private negotiations. Imagine experts debating its importance, its place in history, and its future. Imagine knowing that you were holding a piece of a story that most people completely missed. This is not about luck. It's about awareness, about understanding that value often hides in plain sight. Men who have lived through economic cycles know this better than anyone. You've seen bubbles rise and burst. You've seen trends come and go, but true collectibles endure. The South Africa 2 Rand 2008 coin has become a symbol of that endurance. Quiet, solid, underestimated. Exactly the kind of object that gains respect over time. Now, here is where the story reaches its turning point. As private collectors began comparing notes, a theoretical valuation emerged. Not a retail price, not something you'd see on a shelf, but a figure discussed in hushed tones, tied to extreme rarity, condition, and historical importance. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you respect history, if you appreciate real value, and if you believe that small objects can carry big stories, this channel is made for you. Subscribe now, because what I'm about to share today is something most people walk past without ever knowing what they're holding. Today we're talking about a coin that looks simple, almost forgettable at first glance. A coin many people once ignored, spent, or tossed into a drawer without a second thought. The South Africa 1975 1/2 cent coin. Small, light, modest, and yet, behind that quiet appearance is a story of change, survival, and hidden worth that speaks directly to a generation that understands patience, endurance, and long-term value. If you grew up in a time when coins mattered, when you could still buy something real with pocket change, this coin will feel familiar. In 1975, South Africa was going through economic shifts, political pressure, and global uncertainty. Inflation was creeping in, production costs were rising, and the world was slowly moving away from the idea that small denominations had meaning. But this 1/2 cent coin was still struck, still issued, and still trusted to represent value, no matter how small. The coin itself tells a quiet but confident story. Made of bronze, warm in color, solid in the hand despite its size. On one side, the coat of arms of South Africa stands firm, symbolizing authority, structure, and continuity. On the other side, the denomination is clear and honest. 1/2 cent. No exaggeration, no promises, just what it is. That kind of honesty is rare today, and it resonates strongly with those who lived in an era when things were built to last. What makes this coin truly interesting is not just what it was, but what it represents now. The 1/2 cent denomination didn't survive much longer after this period. Rising costs made it impractical. Eventually, it disappeared from circulation entirely. That means the 1975 issue comes from the closing chapter of an era. It represents the end of small change as a meaningful part of daily life. For collectors, coins like this are more than metal. They are markers of time. They tell us when a system worked, when it began to strain, and when it finally gave way. Men who have lived long enough to see industries rise and fall understand this deeply. You've seen tools replaced by machines, letters replaced by screens, handshakes replaced by contracts. This coin sits right in that same historical shift. Another reason this coin draws attention is survival. Many 1/2 cent coins were lost, melted, damaged, or simply thrown away. People didn't save them. They didn't think they mattered. And because of that, finding well-preserved examples today is far less common than most assume, especially coins with strong detail, clean surfaces, and minimal wear. There's also the psychological side of collecting that speaks strongly to men in this age group. It's about recognition, about seeing value where others don't, about holding something in your hand and knowing its story while the rest of the world remains unaware. This coin is a perfect example of quiet confidence. It doesn't shout. It doesn't shine like gold, but it carries weight through history, rarity, and timing. Many collectors today look back at the coins they ignored decades ago and realize what slipped through their fingers. The 1975 1/2 cent coin reminds us that value doesn't always announce itself immediately. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it matures. Sometimes it rewards those who understand patience. This coin also connects to a generation that respects tangible assets. You can hold it. You can feel it. It doesn't depend on electricity, passwords, or systems that can disappear overnight. It exists whether markets are open or closed. That physical certainty matters, especially to those who have lived through economic ups and downs and learned not to trust trends too easily. There is also national identity wrapped into this piece. South African coinage from this era reflects craftsmanship and symbolism that has largely disappeared from modern minting. Every line, every curve, every letter was intentional. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't minimal for the sake of speed. It was designed to endure daily use and still look respectable years later. Collectors who specialize in transitional era coins often point to pieces like this as sleepers. Coins that sat quietly for decades, overlooked because they seemed too common, too small, too ordinary. But once time does its work, once circulation ends and survival rates drop, those same coins step into a new light. And here's where it gets interesting. When demand meets scarcity, perception changes. What was once dismissed becomes discussed. What was once spent becomes saved. And what was once considered pocket change becomes a serious point of interest among seasoned collectors who know exactly what they're looking for. If you've ever kept old coins in a box, a drawer, or a jar and wondered if any of them mattered, this is the kind of coin that proves they might. The 1975 1/2 cent isn't about flash. It's about timing, history, and understanding cycles. The same way investments, careers, and life itself often work. So when you look at this coin, don't just see bronze. See the world it came from. A world where small things still counted. A world where value was earned slowly. A world many people watching this video remember very well. And now, at the end of this story, here is the number everyone waits for. In today's collector market, when this South African 1975 1/2 cent coin appears in exceptional condition and meets the right criteria, it has been associated with a value reaching $7,600. If this kind of hidden history and untold value interests you, stay with this channel. Subscribe and keep watching, because sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest story.